Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, what I want to do is get you started on perhaps the most challenging problem of Quiz 8, but it will also indicate what you're able to do at this point as well. So this problem has a lot of steps at the end of the day, but that's why, again, it's worth double. But the most difficult part, I suppose, is figuring out how to get started. But for the Quiz 8 methodology, or for using all the rules that we have at your disposal, including what are on the PDFs, the basic rules and the advanced rules, pretty much everything that you could use in at least propositional logic like this is at your disposal. So the first thing you want to do is see if you can do any conversions, especially those that get rid of a not on the outside. Again, the way I said that in the last video is there's three places we could have a negation: on the outside, on the left inside parentheses, and also on the right. What you want to do is see, can I convert anything using De Morgan's law, conjunctive implication, disjunctive implication, or the new one, material equivalence, which allows you to do a lot of things, but the most important one is it converts negated biconditionals into exclusive disjunctions, and ex-nors or negated exclusive disjunctions into biconditionals. So see if we can do that, see if we can do distribution, see if we can do any of the other advanced rules, and then go ahead and move on to the basic rules. Arrow out, and out, things we've been doing since Quiz 2, Quiz 3, pretty much all the previous quizzes. So what I want to do is get started on this one. First of all, we've got four premises, and we've got our conclusion up here. Again, this is I believe number 9 on your Quiz 8. The first question to ask is, can I do any conversions? Again, I'm not going to do this whole problem, I just want to get it started by showing the methodology. Can I do any conversions? Well, again, look, are there any places where I have a not on the outside? Because when there's a not on the outside, that makes things difficult to deal with. It's almost like that not has locked in the things inside the parentheses or brackets, whatever they may be. Do I have any places where there's a not on the outside of the entire premise? Yeah, here, here, and here. So premises 1, 3, and 4. 2 actually looks pretty good. It's a standard arrow with an antecedent of a conjunction and a consequent of an inclusive disjunction. It doesn't look too difficult to mess with. These other 3 are a pain. So what should we do? Well, they have negations on the outside. Are there any conversions that I could do that would get rid of the not on the outside and would make them more palatable, that is, easier to digest, easier to use? Well, what is a conversion that I could do to that? The first premise is a negated conditional statement. What could I do to get rid of the negation on the outside? What I could do there is actually turn it into an and. Remember that conjunctive implication allows us to change an arrow into an and, or a conditional into a conjunction, by changing the outside and the right negation slots. So I'm going to do the conversion, and that's going to turn this into S and not Q. Conjunctive implication on line 1. Now you might be thinking already, hey, I can go ahead and break that apart. We can. Let's go ahead and get, but according to this method, let's go ahead and get all the conversions that we can out of the way first. So if you want to put like a little, as you're starting these big problems on Quiz 8, check that off. I already converted that into this. I said here, and actually this one's a little incomplete, we put an N bracket on there. We have a negated inclusive disjunction there in the third premise. Now, what would we want to do to a negated inclusive disjunction? In this case, we've got not O or N and P. What would we want to do to that? I think the best thing to do there, what gets rid of the not on the outside, in this case would be De Morgan's law. So with De Morgan's law, we change the outside, we change all the slots, outside, left, and right, so that takes the outside one off and we would put one here and one on here as well. So let's go ahead and do this. That gets us not O, and, because we're using De Morgan's law, left, so the outside slot is off, left is now turned on, right is now turned on, and P. What did we do there? De Morgan's law on line 3. So what we can do there is now check that off. Third conversion we can do here is this one. I have not and exclusively or not Q and R. So it's an ex-nor because it's a exclusive disjunction which is negated. We call those ex-nors. But through material equivalence, a kind of conversion, an ex-nor is actually the same thing as a biconditional. So what I can do is simply change the outside, change it to a double arrow, and that's it. So review material equivalence on your advanced rules. But what that allows us to do is this not XOR becomes, everything else stays the same. We just change the outside negation slot and from an XOR to a double arrow. So we get that. And that is material equivalence on line 4. Now take a look. What we have from here that we want to do is, let's see, can we do any kinds of conversions? Well, we did all those. Let me check off the last one here. We did all the conversions. So most of this stuff looks very difficult to deal with. If we did our old school kind of litany of things to do, our repertoire, can we do an arrow out off the bat? Nope. And out? Nope. And in or up? None of those things can we do to start with. So that's why now for the quiz 8, you want to start with, can I do any conversions? Notice we can't do really anything else other than that to start off. Go ahead and do the conversions first. See if you can do distribution. In this one, we cannot. Are there any other advanced rules? Not that I'm aware of on this one, but now basic rules. Can we do the old school easy stuff like quiz 2, quiz 3, quiz 4 kind of stuff? Well, look, there's an and out right there, an and out right there, and a double arrow out we should do right there. And this is going to make this a lot easier now that we've done this from the get-go. If we didn't start with these conversions and go ahead and get them out of the way, this problem would be much more difficult. This is how you should get started, not only on this one on quiz 8, but all the ones on quiz 8. This should be your methodology. Can I do conversions, especially ones that get negations off the outside? Can I do distribution or factoring? And then the other advanced rules. And then finally the basic rules, the stuff like arrow out, and in.